Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Today's a pretty rainy day, and I'm feeling like I need to recalibrate my energy for some reason. There's a groove that's happening right now, and I know the full moon is tomorrow, the strawberry moon, and I'm probably feeling the brunt of that energy, including all the adepts' energy, because we're a container, and a lot of us need to get back into a momentum again, from the rest into a rejuvenation, into a nurturing for ourselves. And I've been thinking about this idea, deity fusion, okay? Not a lot of people talk about this, the hybridization of different archetypes or energies and patterns that you notice. How cool would it be if you struggled with speed and then you could fuse with Hermes, or if you struggle with, strength, then you tap into Hanuman's energy and merge with that. This idea of blending is very, very powerful, and it comes through this Jeet kind of mentality in terms of spirituality, because you're really finding your own style, right? Just like you have a style of fighting, you also have a style of spirituality. So what is your own spiritual style? That's the number one thing to understand when it comes down to this. And once you understand your theme and your style, then you can start magnetizing certain energies, frequencies, and signatures of fractal beings towards your experience. It's going to be a lot more easier, because you don't want a chemical reaction happening just because you don't have a bridge, okay? So the idea of having a bridge has been very, very powerful in our path, because we've understood that in order to neutralize two opposing forces, an asura or a deva, a demon and an angel, a Garuda and a Naga, there needs to be some kind of a bridge in between it, just like the priest beast, right? So we work a lot with this polarity magnetism and starting to really understand, what is it that we can do to blend these two worlds together, especially if they're from two different pantheons, right? Let's say you have Thor and then you have Indra, right? One is from the Hindu pantheon, one is from the Nordic pantheon. However, at the same time, you want to understand they're both connected through thunder, through lightning. And if you can start to understand that there are overlaps in a lot of these deities, then you can actually start to understand the oneness of this all. And you understand that God has given us command over these spirits and energies. Truly, it is such a powerful mentality to live like this. And I don't want you to think of like fantasy, right? This is actually functional mysticism. It's a way that you are using deity yoga from Vajrayana, combining it with characterology, combining it with Rykov, combining it with all these other fusion texts, right? What I mean by fusion texts, easier ways for you to visualize and fuse with that particular being. Especially like acting techniques are really helpful for that. Like, let's say method acting, for instance, where, let's say you have never lost someone in your life, but you have lost a pet. So you recapture the feeling of you losing a pet, tapping into that sadness in a scene where someone very close to you has passed away, right? But the audience doesn't know that. You're doing that within your own internal world, right? And so this is about maneuvering the inner and outer world, right? As Bruce Lee says, it's acting, unacting, okay? So there's a part of me right now that wants to be performative and look cool and make sure that this video is okay. There's also another part of me that wants to drop massive value, right? And these have got to fuse in my mind. So deity fusion is really a combination of authenticity and the relevance or the intention that you have for doing this, actually, right? So let's say you want to magnetize more love in your life, you would then start to fuse with these energies that are already there. They are already love. Like, let's say Kamadeva, if I work with that energy, he's already there, And I understand that there's certain rules and, traditions that say you have to do it like this, and this is the dogma, this is the doctrine, right? You can't go outside of the book, you can't go outside of the scripture. That's taboo, but that's how the world wants you to think. That's how people actually end up staying stuck in the same positions, right? Because all the elite are doing this behind the scenes, Why is it that we cannot rise to our own power and understand what they're doing, right? Maybe not everybody is meant for it either, right? It's true. Like, you were brought to this video for a reason, right? So when you were setting the intention, both Dragon King and Nagaraja all walked into a bar, right? It's like the beginning of a joke almost, in a sense. But deity fusion is such a powerful understanding that you can get the strengths and the values from any specific being, right? And the cool thing is, it does not have to be particularly a being where you're like, I only want to work with, Shiva's energy and all forms of Shiva's energy. That's valid. If you want to double down on one being and you're like, hey, I'm down for that, that's cool. To me, that's kind of cool. However, at the same time, do you notice that you can stack it with Durga's energy and Parvati's energy too, since that's his consort, right? So maybe you're thinking to one-track mind with this thing instead of this divergent way of exploring these different archetypes, right? And how you can stack different archetypes together. For instance, I'll give you guys an example. For Ryan G, he has more than one hip chakra deity, okay? Could be through his background in bachata or dance, or he has a lot of drive and so forth, right? So that creates a pattern where there's more than one being supporting one being who is like the spokesperson for that chakra point. You guys get what I'm saying? Now, this is a very nouveau shamanic way, as Nicolas Cage would call it, in terms of merging into that character archetype. Let's just say I started to wear a really new ring, right? That ring would then adapt to my persona. Just like how Ben 10 can like press the ring, right, in the Omnitrix, and then become these different beings. In a similar way, any archetype you can use with the different things. Like, for instance, you can charge this with a specific energy. I can charge this with a specific energy. I can charge my sunglasses with a specific energy. You guys are getting this? So the idea being that I'm just going to have my intention. I'm going to take that intention and create some art out of it. I'm going to charge that art and then let go. Forget about it, throw it away, burn it, put it somewhere, right? That understanding is very, very powerful and key, especially when you are manifesting, right? Because when you're manifesting, it's like a really, really powerful understanding that you are magnetizing a reality that is already there within you, but you are reminding yourself of it, okay? Like, there's a future timeline where I am incredibly wealthy. However, at the same time, if I don't follow my trajectory now, speak into the listening of my higher self, then I cannot actually get these resonances alive in me today, to this day and age, right? I want you guys to think of deity yoga or this deity fusion almost like you have the periodic table, right? And there's certain like gases and bases, and try and think of it very pragmatic and structured in this way, right? There's certain elements that can be combined together to create an H2O, for instance, hydrogen, oxygen, right? That makes up, of course, the elements, and the elements go into actually personas, right? Like in the Wiccan tradition, you have the four kings, right? And in other traditions, you also have many different styles of leadership, different ideas, So let's say that I want to merge Vishnu's energy with who's another random being. Let's take a more common approach. Vishnu and Agwe, okay? Two completely different beings, one from the Yoruba pantheon, one from the Hindu pantheon, right? So I could technically use any of Vishnu's avatars too. That's what you guys don't see, and that's what you don't recognize. Like, my mind goes into it and just sees it from all different perspectives, angles, almost like a ball, right? Like, you have the solar system, like the Earth, and then I can quickly go into all of the continents, all the states, all the countries associated with it, and then zoom out, right? Because my name is Zoom, that's what I do best. I zoom in and I zoom out. That's kind of my gift in this world, which is why my name is Zoom In. And this is also why you want to understand that your perspective, your perception shifts the reality that you're in, okay? So the way that you see something changes that thing. So if I were to see Vishnu as a catalyst in my life, he would be. However, at the same time, I've got to create that structure within myself so that it can be the most engaging and most energizing for me in my unique path working, right? And so for me, when I started out this journey, I knew that I wanted to do something with flow and flow state, and that was really inspiring to me. Like, I loved improv and being in the moment and really speaking in terms of this rhythm. I love just speaking without structure, you know, without bullet points, without anything. It's such a powerful freedom aspect of a freestyle shamanism that I don't think we really get as easily in many different places, right? There is a very, very powerful energetic signature that you can tap into once you understand how to fuse these two energies together. So in the context of using Vishnu and Agwe, I would go into all of Agwe's weapons. I would go into doing some research into both of these beings and then finding the overlaps that bring them both together, and then the coolest traits of each of them, you collect them, and then you find a way to combine a third being that is a hybridization, right? Agvishnu or something, right? That's how I want you to think about it. Of course, there's many other nuances and different things in terms of this. Don't just rush into this, join the mystery school, follow the actual protocols and so forth. But again, if you're a creative person, if you're very spiritually tuned, this process is going to be easy peasy for you, okay? So let's get it today. Upward spiral. May we never be the same again. Let's win.